The 111th Congress convenes in a bit of a chaotic situation this week. There are 3 open Senate seats, but even with those in flux, Congress hopes to move quickly on a number of fronts. In Illinois, the question of whether Roland Burris will be allowed to replace President-elect Obama goes on. In New York, Hillary Clinton's replacement hasn't been named, although Caroline Kennedy has been prominently mentioned. Finally, the recount in Minnesota is nearing its conclusion, with former comedian Al Franken in the lead, but still no official winner. Even with all these sideshows, the Senate and the House expect to get to work. There's a lot to do.
Economists from across the political spectrum agree that if we don't act swiftly and boldly, we could see a much deeper economic downturn.
The economy, of course, is front and center. While there's been a lot of talk about a giant financial stimulus package, there's little concrete information about exactly what will be in it. Mr. Obama's team is trying not to tip its hand before he takes power.
This plan must be designed in a new way. We can't just fall into the old Washington habit of throwing money at the problem.
At the same time, congressional Democrats are trying to forge ahead on an economic bill. They'd like to move quickly before Republicans have too much of a chance to dig in against it.
We're going to do it as quickly as we can.
Are you worried about the total?
We're going to be working nights. We're going to be working weekends. We're going to get this done.
Do we, in the name of stimulus, want to make long-term systemic changes that will affect spending every single year? I think that's at least worth considering, having hearings about, having bipartisan discussions.
Is this $1 trillion stimulus, do you expect?
It's whatever it takes to bring this country back on a fiscal footing that is decent.
Although it is now looking like the economic plan might take longer than expected, there are other issues that Democratic leaders would like to get to right away. The expansion of embryonic stem cell research has been a priority for Democrats for years. President Bush implemented restrictions at the beginning of his term, and congressional Democrats and their Republican allies have been stymied trying to reverse them. Congress passed 2 bills, but both were vetoed by Mr. Bush.
It is inevitable that this research is going to go ahead. The only question is time.
What's likely to happen now is that after he takes office, President Obama will lift the restrictions by executive order. Congress will then follow suit with a more comprehensive bill. Somewhat lost in all these discussions is the war in Iraq. Mr. Obama was largely elected because of his determination to end the conflict. Spending bills, which will be coming down the congressional pipeline in the coming few weeks, will likely force the issue. Health care, of course, is another. There will likely be a bill to expand state insurance for children, and that will likely move quickly. The overall reform of health care will be taking place over months and will certainly occupy a lot of congressional time and attention. Finally, the Congress will eventually have to return to the question of whether and how to help the automakers. The Bush administration's plan will run out in coming months. It's just one of the hard economic issues confronting the new Congress.